I'm Sydney Edwards, the show host and writer for Freightwaves Running on Ice. It's a show and a newsletter, and today I am joined by Glynn Spangenberg, the Chief Commercial Officer for Locomation. Glynn, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, today we're talking about Locomation's business model and how it differs from other companies, especially when it comes to the autonomous trucking section of this. So let's kind of get into it. Let's start there. What would you say makes Locomation so different?
Locomation was founded in 2018 by 5 dissidents in the autonomous vehicle technology sector from Carnegie Mellon's National Robotics Engineering Center. They were dissidents from the pack because they looked at the other AV companies being founded in that era and disagreed fundamentally with those business models, which were predicated on bringing level 4 and level 5 solo autonomous trucks to the market as the initial step. Due to their decades of top-level experience with AV technology, they knew that the technology for a solo driverless truck to handle all driving and safety situations simply didn't exist, and that many years, if not decades, more work was necessary to bring that dream to commercial viability. Instead, they believed a phased approach made more sense, focusing on what we call human-guided autonomy, which uses AV technology to augment rather than replace human drivers. They focused on an autonomous convoy solution that kept a human in the lead and relied on existing technology that was practical and safe, which meant a realistic deployment schedule as opposed to the big promises and endlessly postponed timelines so common from the other companies in the sector.
Now, we've worked with Locomation before, of course, and I know you guys talk about delivering this turnkey autonomous service for the industry, but what exactly does that mean?
So from day one, our founders recognized that trucking was a far larger market than taxis, and that long-haul trucking would be the best initial fit for autonomy. They designed the solution to address the industry's biggest pain points: inefficiency, lack of capacity, high costs, low margins, poor quality of life for drivers, and high carbon emissions. They knew that to make it work, it needed to be a turnkey solution, meaning that it would be built end to end for a customer to easily implement into their current business processes from the beginning. Working with leading experts in the logistics industry, they set up a 2-part model designed to work in today's world that could leverage the benefits of autonomous convoying. First, Locomation overhauls a customer's traditional truck operation to institute a relay model, splitting the long haul from the local haul. We then provide a proprietary freight scheduling service to enable customers to implement optimized runs on a daily basis. When implemented, the digital transportation system means long-haul trucks on the relay network can run up to 22 hours per day. Then, we introduce our autonomous relay convoy, or ARC technology, to enable the trucks to now run in pairs led by a single driver. The trucks are electronically tethered and equipped with Locomation's autonomous driving systems. The lead driver controls the convoy while a second driver in the second truck, which is following autonomously, rests off the clock. At the destination hub, they pick up new loads, with the rested driver now taking the lead, driving both loads back home while the follower driver sleeps. This solution makes sense to boost the carrier's capacity while cutting costs. And in addition to the AV technology that we install on every truck, Locomation provides the planning and scheduling service, the software, and the staff and driver training to make it all fit together seamlessly.
Now, autonomous trucking seems to be the way of the future. Everyone's talking about it. It's the name of the game, at least the game that we know we're eventually going to have to get into at some point. And Locomation talks about being the first. How can they be so confident?
Locomation will be first because our solution is not only technologically practical in the near term, but because it's safe under any condition. Our human-in-the-loop approach means Locomation-equipped trucks can navigate complex and challenging scenarios such as adverse weather, construction zones, crash scenes, inspections, interactions with law enforcement, and emergency vehicle encounters. Unlike our competitors, Locomation requires no new federal regulations because our convoys are controlled by trained human drivers. We're getting great responses in the market because our solution is good for drivers, which really matters to our customers and the industry. A driver's time will be used for maximum efficiency, which means better compensation, fewer wasted detention time hours, and frequent returns to their home base. The ability to routinely clock off and spend time with family and community will be a major boost to the driver quality of life. And because our system drastically cuts idling time and empty miles, carriers can achieve unparalleled reduction of 21% in fuel consumption and 22% in greenhouse gas emissions. And finally, our approach will generate millions of real-world on-road miles in revenue before our competitors are able to deploy in long-haul trucking in any sort of economically viable way.
Now, you kind of touched on this a bit, but talking about maybe how you're backing up these claims, of course, with this business model, you mentioned that, the life that a trucker has and how important it is to have kind of like that balance there, especially when it comes to retention. We all want to see that. But how can you back up those claims maybe a bit more?
Yeah, they're bold claims. So as for environmental impact, these eye-popping numbers, again, 21% lower fuel consumption and 22% reduced greenhouse gas emissions were validated by an independent third-party analysis by Boundless Impact Research and Analytics. The evaluation by Boundless Impact, a leading firm for credible assessments of corporate environmental claims, utilized a life cycle assessment method that assessed the scope 1, 2, and 3 greenhouse gas emissions of Locomation's ARC technology. And life cycle assessments are recognized as far more rigorous than other reporting methods. Boundless researched and modeled the material, energy, and performance characteristics for Locomation's ARC system based on detailed information provided by Locomation that described the material components, the energy consumption impacts, labor, and cost implications. At the core of the methodology is a life cycle assessment model for the transportation of goods by a long-haul Class 8 truck carrying 1 ton of goods for 1 kilometer on a highway. The scores and metrics derived are trustworthy and reliable because they're unbiased and validated by external industry and scientific experts. Some of the other claims are easier to assess. If you take trucks running less than 7 hours per day, as they do today on average, to more than 20 hours per day, with matched loads going back and forth without wait time, you have clearly boosted freight volume substantially. If you then add in 2 trucks rather than 1 running with a single on-duty driver, it's clear you have doubled capacity and boosted efficiency, which means higher profits.
Now, Glenn, there's a lot to take in here. I know I've asked you a couple of questions, but is there anything else you'd like to mention while I've got you?
Choose Locomation. It's a whole new world for autonomous trucking services.
Glenn, thank you so much. Of course, we love having you on here. And I will just tell our viewers, our listeners, that everyone can tune in to tv.freightwaves.com for more industry updates presented, of course, by Locomation.